Well, good morning again. Welcome to Unity of Buffalo. I'm Mary Masters, the minister, and we welcome people who are viewing online as well as in person. So let us begin this morning with prayer and filled up with that attitude of gratitude that in every moment we can stop, we can pause, we can look around and count our blessings. And so we begin this service today with open hearts, open minds, and a sense for the infinite possibility of good that lies within us and lies before us as we swing wide the doors of our consciousness, our energy, our openness to good that is to come. Thank you, God. Amen. And also I invite you to join me in affirming the invocation and a core foundational principle of unity. There is only one presence and one power, living as the universe and as me, God the good, omnipotent. And we bless our church by affirming and remembering and making firm in consciousness the vision, mission, and core values. Together, a world of love, peace, and abundance for all. And our mission, practicing the presence of God through prayer, education, service, creativity, and community. And practicing our core values, to be loving with ourselves and each other, be spiritually centered, to be inclusive and open, respectful, namaste is a good way to do that, and compassionate, coming from our heart. And now, one way that we do our prayers, our education, our expanding our consciousness is to read the daily word. And Karen is going to share with us today the message on prosperity.
Good morning. Okay. Before I start, please take the hydrangea bouquets on your way home today. Take one bouquet, two bouquets, whatever you want. Okay, prosperity. With God as my source, I live abundantly. No matter how much I have in the bank, the kind of car I drive, or the house I live in, I know these things are mere manifestations of abundance. The source of all prosperity is God. I look beyond appearances to find a deeper meaning of prosperity. Meaningful work that I enjoy doing is part of my prosperity, not only because of what I earn, but also because of the satisfaction I feel when I use my skills. My house becomes a home when filled with people I love and care for. My financial resources don't diminish, but multiply when I share them generously. As I look beyond the good things in my life to the love, the creative insight, and the limitless flow of divine ideas that brought them into manifestation, I discover true abundance. Riches and honor are with me, enduring wealth and prosperity, Proverbs 8:18. And you can repeat on the screen.
With God as my
source, I live abundantly. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Also, in addition to the hydrangeas that Karen brought, there are some plants out there that Eve had donated, and we'd like to kind of clear that space out too. So you're just welcome to take them home if you'd like. And if you'd like to make a donation for the Peace Park, you can. But otherwise, just please take them and let's pass them on. Tie them to the universe.
need water.
But the hydrangeas don't need water, so that's my kind of plan. Low maintenance. So today we are continuing on our series based on this book, Love, God, and Everything, that our spirit groups are reading. And I felt like this week I wanted to help us go a little deeper into our experience and understanding. And I came upon the story that really it felt like it spoke right to the point. And it's a story about a woodcutter who lived at the edge of this deep, dark forest. And every day he would go to the woods and he'd cut down some wood to sell, to take into town to sell to support his family. He never went very deep. He just went to the kind of the edge of the woods, and he was just really barely getting by. But one day a holy man walked by and looked at what he was doing, and he just stopped and he said 2 words, "Go deeper." And he walked on. And so the woodcutter, it took a few days for that message to sink in, but then he thought, oh, go deeper. So he walked a little bit deeper into the woods, and he discovered that he found a pile of silver there. And it was enough to support his family. He didn't need to keep cutting wood anymore. And so then a little more time goes by, and the man remembered again that message from the holy man that said, go deeper. And he thought, oh. So he went into the woods, and he went a little bit deeper into these deep, dark woods, and he found a pile of gold. And it was like more than enough for him to build a new house for his family and to help his friends and family with his unexpected wealth. And then time went on a little more, and then he remembered again, woodcutter remembered again the words of that wise man, go deeper. So he summoned up his courage and he said, okay, he went a little deeper into the woods, and he found this mound of diamonds. And it was so much that he could support his whole village, or help the whole village, and everyone was blessed and prospered by this. And the story goes on and on. And so I thought today I wanted to go a little deeper with our understanding about source and source consciousness. I mean, it's right there. I thought, oh, sometimes the daily word is so right on. With God as my source, I live abundantly. The source of all prosperity is God. And so here's what the author of the book that we're reading, some of us are reading, she uses the word source interchangeably for, source, the eternal force, God, divine, beloved, almighty, consciousness, light, love, soul, more words. She talks about it as unfathomable and boundlessly indefinable is how we think of God, source, the divine. And then I thought about, unity, that's what our daily word today is. Source of all prosperity is God. And I thought, what else do some of our unity teachings say? And the lessons in Truth that a group of us read last fall, or a few months ago, Emily Cady says there is but one source of being. This source is the living fountain of all good. Be it life, or love, or wisdom, power, the giver of all good gifts. If you have power, or you have the power to draw on this source, capital S, for all the good you are, or ever will be, or capable of desiring. And then Paul Hasselbeck says in Metaphysics, it's just kind of more of the same. The next quote is coming up here. Divine mind, beingness is the unchanging, unlimited source of all existence, the underlying cause of all that is. All the good we could ever be or want is in the divine mind, or is derived from divine mind, based on divine ideas. And then just one more message. Oneness, or beingness, is our limitless supply, which is unfailingly available in abundant ways. And so we bring our supply, or our needs, what we need, from the awareness of oneness into mind, and then into the manifest realm. So I thought, I know all that's kind of heady, and I'm not going to quiz you on, but so often we sort of confuse the channel with the source. There are many, many channels. Good comes to us financially, and goodwill, and health, and assistance through people, through organizations, through places where we serve. But, when we focus just on the channel and not the source, which is that unfathomable, indefinable realm, we're kind of missing the mark. That the channels of good are, when we focus on that, we're like the woodcutter who only went to the edge of the forest and just kept every day taking a little bit of wood and was just barely making it. Whereas, when we focus on the source, we are the woodcutter that woke up to the idea that we need to go deeper. Get up, summon our courage to go a little deeper, to having an experience of source consciousness. And so I was thinking about, what does that mean to be living from source consciousness? What does that, look like in a practical way? And if anybody has something, what does that mean?
Are you asking?
Yeah, I was asking. I have some answers, but this is the part where there's, I want to say, what's it mean to you? Yeah, this is the audience participation. It's good that there's always one or two that.
No, you should never ask a question when I'm in the
Yeah.
You know better than that.
Okay. I'll give you a minute. Well, what does that mean to you, Steve? To live from source consciousness.
Yes, well, living from source consciousness is pretty big. It's pretty deep. It's pretty kind of far away and wide, right? So I kind of have kind of steps, steps to source consciousness. So, because I'm in the youth organization, we talk about psyche. So psyche is kind of like the source. It's kind of like the channel of source. Psyche's inside. We have all these channels we talk about, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Channels. We don't want to confuse the channel with the source, but sometimes the channel is pretty important.
Yeah.
And when the channel is our own soul and psyche, well, that's where it's paid, because we'll get messages from the source. That way. So that's kind of how I'm dealing with it right now.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So Mo.
Yeah. The other day, I tithed a little more than I normally do. I had bravery. And I sort it as I was driving home, thought, I put money in God's pocket and he'll put it in mine. For sure.
Wow, well, thank you.
Wouldn't you know, this past week, I saved $1,500.
Wow.
On my car warranty, through goodness, through unexpected source.
Yeah.
If I keep the lights on in the church, they'll keep the lights on in my life.
Well, thank you. So there's a little testimonial for tithing. Thank you. Mo shared that this week that she stepped out in faith a little bit. She trusted. She felt like if I put more in God's pocket, God would put more in mine, and she found that she saved more than $1,500 on a car or some other things. And thank you for. So you mentioned steps, Steve, and as it turns out, I have a few suggested steps too. You thought I wouldn't come unprepared for this talk today. So, I wanted to give us a few things to kind of hang our hat on about source. And one of them is prayer. Of course, we have to start with prayer. Being conscious about our language and our words. And are we making prosperity welcome, or are we holding it away from us? And I heard someone say this week, I expect a loss. I expect a setback. I plan on a deficit. And I thought, okay, well, guess what shows up when you put that out? But last week, I had shared this story from Greg Braden about what he calls the lost mode of prayer. And he tells the story, but it's worth repeating again about, it was a time when they were having a major drought out in the Southwest in the 90s, and it hadn't rained for a very long time, and a Native American friend of his said, let's go pray for rain. Would you like to join me? And he said, yeah. So they went out to this place where there was a sacred circle on the ground, and the Native American person stepped into the circle, and first thing he did, of course, was to honor his ancestors, put his hands in prayer. And he was only in there for a minute or two, and then he looked up to Greg and he said, hey, I'm hungry, let's go get a bite to eat. And Greg said, what? I thought we were going to pray for rain, I'm expecting some big ceremony and singing and dancing and chanting. And the Native American man said, no, you don't pray for something, because when you pray for it, you're affirming that it's not present already, that it's out there somewhere. But he said, rather, I pray rain. That in those few moments in the middle of the circle, I closed my eyes and I could feel the feeling of what it would be like to just have a deluge, to have all this rain coming down, pouring off the tops of our roofs, or, smelling the smells of rainwater, feeling what it would feel like on my feet to be walking through fields, filled with water and muddy and just an abundance of water everywhere. That when you do that, you're giving thanks with an attitude of gratitude and knowing that what you want in your heart really is already present, that you're at one with that experience. And so to me, to pray rain is living from source consciousness, to not say it's separate, but that it's already here and I'm claiming it. And then looking beyond appearances. The Daily Word says that too. I look beyond appearances to find a deeper meaning of prosperity. That's just another way of saying, go deeper. And I thought, here's a chicken and egg question for you. What do you think comes first? Chicken or the egg? Being calm and centered, or looking beyond appearances? I think it's a both and. Either one that go together. And there's a story in the Bible that's just sort of captivated me this week that I've been thinking about. It's in the book of Acts, chapter 12, 6, if you want to look it up. But it's the story of Peter, the Apostle Peter, and he had been arrested, thrown in jail by King Herod. And the story is that we're told in the story Peter was kept in prison. And the church prayed fervently to God for him. But here's the scene. He's bound by 2 chains. He's sleeping between 2 soldiers. I like doing that part of it. And the guards were in front of the door, keeping watch. And as he was sleeping, what happens? We're told suddenly an angel appeared and tapped him on the shoulder. And a light shone in the cell. So an illumination, an awakening. And the angel said, get up, get up. And the chains fell off his wrists. And the angel said, fasten your belt, put on your sandals, grab your cloak, and follow me. And the gates of the prison opened and he walked out. And the guards they walked right past the guards out into freedom. Well, stories, whether it happened exactly that way or not, we don't know, but there's great spiritual truth in that we can think about in a story. It feels like here's the power of the Roman Empire and King Herod and the prison and the guards and, the forces of the world. Great power seem to be aligned against our friend here, Peter. How can one man, what's he going to do? But we know that Peter represents faith. We talked about that a few weeks ago. faith. And then we're told that the church was praying for him. The church, metaphysically just represents our community, a community of thoughts that are lifted up to a higher consciousness. So faith sustained by prayer. You have to say, well, prayer does that. Prayer strengthens our faith. Prayer helps us go deeper. So in this story, what we're kind of metaphysically seeing is that faith, when we're grounded in faith and uplifted by prayer, we can be calm and at peace. We can be at rest. Maybe even take a nap in the middle of the day, even when things appear to be in dire straits. That's the kind of state of consciousness in which there can be a channel for the Lord to work. That's an example of living from source consciousness, to be able to be calm and centered or peaceful when things appear to be kind of dire. And so what happens in the story, then we're told that as Peter is sleeping, that the guidance comes. An angel appears, a messenger for us. Angels represent divine ideas. And that when we follow that guidance with implicit trust, we're set free from limitation. That with faith, we remain calm, we walk out the door of the old story into a new story. And so the prison can just represent anything. The prison, any sort of limitation, whether it's sickness or lack or disharmony, that we can't be confined when we are like Peter, faith sustained by prayer. So I've thought about it. Living from source consciousness means prayer, means being like Peter, looking beyond appearances, and then acting accordingly, doing things that put our, that want our practical, having sort of prosperity practices, that, we need to not just think about something or say a prayer, but we need to do something in a practical, I've been hearing the word lately, embodiment a lot, like the embodiment practices, that we need to embody what we think and believe so that and be in alignment with it. So it's not that, well, I say one thing, I believe this, but then I do something else that doesn't seem to, it's not in alignment with that. So prosperity practices. So I thought about, what are they? These are things, count your blessings, have an attitude of gratitude. Just whatever it is, whether it's a daily list or at the end of the day, thinking about what are 5 things I'm most grateful for that happened today. But there's a woman, Jackie Woodside, who had come here a few years ago, and she talks about raise your money vibe, and that's one of the things she says, make a list every day of what you're grateful for. We could even just take a moment right now, just to invite you to think for a moment of just kind of one thing that you're really grateful for in your life. And then I just invite you to turn to somebody around you and share that. Share something you're grateful for. Let's just take a minute now and do that. So what I noticed that, with the people, that it feels just with that little bit of sharing, that the vibration was lifted. Can you feel higher vibration, energy. If we did that every day, or every Sunday, if we started our service with people sharing, it would lift the lifts the vibration. Maybe it's just let you continue. So we can do that anytime. Find somebody to share it with, or write it down. And then there's just this idea of being a generous giver and being a gracious receiver. Always remember that lesson about somebody one time wanted to buy me lunch, and I said, "Oh no, don't bother," or you don't have to. And he got really irate, and he said, "Don't step on my hose." When somebody wants to give you something, it's not just that they're giving a gift to you, but they're creating circulation in their own life so that more good can come in. And when we're not a gracious receiver, we're not just saying no for ourselves, we're cutting off someone's supply. So if someone gives you a compliment, what's the correct answer?
Thank you.
Thank you, I accept, or thank you for noticing. So that, and then tithing. Thank you for mentioning that. But tithing is something we don't always talk about as much in unity. But the traditional definition in the Hebrew Scriptures is 10% of your spiritual good. But I don't like to think we have an obligation to tithe, but we have an opportunity to tithe. It's a gift that it puts our good into circulation. And the important thing is, wherever you're at in your giving right now, to think about what would it be to stretch that a little bit. That, if it feels a little scary to give 10%, what would it be to increase your giving by 10%, to go from 1% to 2% to 3%. But the idea of tithing is giving to the person, places, organizations that are a source of spiritual good in your life, that teach you, that help us to remember that God is our source, that help us to learn about what is this thing called source, and how do we have a source consciousness so that we're even more open to being in the flow of our good. And so tithing, or giving generously to spiritual organizations like Unity of Buffalo is a way of acknowledging that God is our source, that this part of our lives, that this opportunity to learn about spiritual practices and to access, as Emily, Katie, and the other writers said, to come from source consciousness, that we need to always be reminded of that, because we get messages all the time from the world that the world doesn't work that way, that I need to hold on to this one channel rather than knowing that there is this invisible realm of good that comes to us, that is like the light that shines, like the angel that came to Peter that said, when the light shined, the chains on his wrist fell off, and the chains on our wrists are just our limiting thoughts that keep us locked in fear and think, oh, I can't afford to stretch, I can't afford to do anything, I better hold on to everything of God. And so another aspect, to me, prosperity practices also include releasing our fear, our fear of giving, our fear of letting go, or our fear of really leaning in and trusting, or going deeper into the woods, releasing our fear. And, I've done so much work on this for myself. I think about, what are my family stories around money and giving? What did I could ask you, did your parents fight about money? Or maybe they didn't talk about it at all. My parents wanted to either not talk about it, or they'd fight about it, or did you have a sense of insecurity growing up? And how do all those early childhood messages still inform how we live our lives today? And is it really helpful or not, I guess is the question. what stuff, what baggage do you want to set down so that you can be free, like Peter, to walk out? And then I thought, cultivate good friends. And, by that, I mean, be careful of the company you keep. And I'm not talking about just people in our lives, although certainly that's very important. But who do you spend time with? How much time do you spend with the news or social media or things that tend to scare us because, oh God, it looks like things are getting worse, or a recession is going to happen, or stock market is down. But, to be careful to balance. It's not to not be aware of what's going on in the world, but to balance that with time of immersing yourself in things that raise your consciousness, that raise your vibration, so that you are not at the effect of other people's fears. And most of all, this is the thing most of all, is being a good friend to yourself. I shared a few weeks ago about I heard a speaker on self-compassion. She's actually a professor at the University of Texas, and she's doing all this academic research on self-compassion, but she's making it really practical. And she says that self-compassion is giving ourselves the same kindness and care that we would give to a good friend. If a really good friend came to you and said, oh, I'm kind of struggling here in this area of my life, or I'm worried about this or that, what would you say to that friend? And then to say that same thing to yourself, rather than, be harsh on yourself. And I thought so much, it brought to mind to me the story of Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity. Her story, she had tuberculosis, and it looked like she was going to die. And so she was searching for an alternative, and she was searching, and it led her on a spiritual path and to doing a lot of prayer and meditation. But one of the things that was really pivotal, that was the key thing and turning point in her healing, was when in her prayers and meditation she heard this voice. She said, Spirit said to me, you have looked amongst your faults. Now look amongst your virtues. And she said that shifted a lot. And suddenly she started looking at what she had to be grateful for and blessing every cell and every atom and every tissue in her body. And that was the turnaround in her healing. You've looked among your faults. You've found all the things you did wrong. You criticized this, you criticized. Now look amongst your virtues. So to me, that's living from source consciousness. That's remembering to do that. So source consciousness looks like prayer, looks like being mindful of our words and our being in alignment. It looks like going deeper into the woods, giving and an openness to receive. It looks like being aware of the friends that we cultivate and what we focus on. And then there's one last thing I thought I'd like to add to this, to stick this in, and I think it's engagement. That, as I thought about engagement, is really giving our love and attention and interest to things. It's just like our plants. What you give love and attention to grows, and what you don't give your love and attention to tends to wither and decline. And so I thought, well, this is an opportunity, since we're having our annual meeting next Sunday, to give a short little mini lesson on Unity Church governance. That this is how Unity Church, we're not the Catholic Church, we're not another organization, but Unity Church is based on the governance model that looks like a three-legged stool. And each one of the legs, it's very important for the health of the ministry, for the legs to be of equal length and balance so that the stool is solid and steady. And I realize you probably can't read the words, but each leg, one leg represents membership, church members. One leg represents the board of trustees. And one leg represents the minister. And each of those, we could say they're sort of governing partners, that they have an important role to play in the overall functioning of the ministry. That it's not all the minister doing everything, I'm not the Pope, it's not the board, it's not all up to the membership, but each governing partner has. And this is all outlined in our bylaws, which is on our website, but you know, the number one governing principle, the number one thing on top of the stool is our mission, you know, that's the guiding light, that's the thing that should guide every decision and our priorities, is practicing the presence of God through prayer, education, service, creativity, and community. But the members have an important, you know, role to play. The board has a role to play, and the minister. Now, what would you say are some of the things that are the members' responsibilities? Now, this is financing, to provide the finances to function, absolutely. Volunteering, active service, to be engaged in sacred service. Showing up every week, attending on Sundays. Taking classes, keep growing, keep learning. To offer suggestions to the ministry of how we can get better. To be familiar with the bylaws, to know how things work. So, worship, yeah, to worship and to pray for the ministry and to practice the principles. To be supportive to people in need, that we minister to each other. But there's a lot of that happens in this church, and that's really good. Yeah.
Aging is not for sissies.
And as Karen says, aging is not for sissies, so we need a lot of caring for each other. Yeah, so it's to practice our principles and develop spiritual and emotional maturity, to be kind to each other. And then the board, you know, what's the board's role? For all three of them, it's to uphold the mission, number one, but the board has certain things that only it can do, or it's charged with. We've got a few former board members here. Well, it's to be role models for the congregation, to be an example of what we want to see more of. It's planning, budgeting, establishing policies, being faithful in Sunday attendance. Good to see you. To work cooperatively with the minister, to evaluate the minister, to approve or establish job positions, to decide what we can fund, what we can't. And it's the board's role to plan the annual meeting, which we're going to have next Sunday. And then the minister, the role of the minister.
Feed the flock.
To stand up here and tell a good story. To provide spiritual sustenance, yeah. Teaching classes, conducting the Sunday services. But to work with the board cooperatively in planning, budgeting. To have overall responsibility for scheduling of events and classes. And to day-to-day operations of the building and the grounds and the budget and personnel. So you can see how all those things, have work with each other, and that's part of the governance model. And so I think of living from source consciousness means choosing to be engaged in the things we care about. Like we have an election coming up on November 8th. I hope that you all will think about voting and what is how do you want to make a difference in November. So living from source consciousness means going deeper with our prayers, our practices, our engagement, and doing it from this place, which is really the essence of source consciousness. And we can go to that We Are Love, that this is sort of has been the foundation of the book. She opened the book, she opened it with essentially this message and repeats it throughout, and we can say this because this is the kind of consciousness, love is what we want to bring to everything, to our ministry, to our families, to our lives, to the election in November, to our world. So let's say this together. We are love. We are from love. We are here to love, and it is to love that we shall return when we leave this earthly realm. So now, we're ready to go a little deeper with our spiritual practice, and we're going to begin with this song, I Am So Blessed, and we will have this as a recording, and then after our meditation and blessing of prayers, Tom, this is your you're here to come up for the prayers after we do our meditation. Then Anandi is going to share with us a song. So, Elaine, you could dim the lights, please, and feel free to sing along with this if you'd like.
I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
And so let us take those words, that message, into our heart. If you'd like to close your eyes, you can, or just take your eyes to a soft gaze. get aware of your breathing as you breathe in deeply. With each breath, we can affirm, I am so grateful. I am so blessed for all that I have. I am so grateful. And so I invite you to just take a few moments and think about all that you're grateful for. In your body, in your health, your relationships, in your world. I am so blessed. And we know that the source of all prosperity is God. I invite you for a moment to imagine you are that woodcutter that's only just been going to the edge of the forest. And what would it feel like to go a little deeper? With God as our source, we live abundantly. We can affirm that together. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. Now I'd like to invite Tom to come up to share with us our prayer, to lead us in our prayers today.
As we sit together in the silence, surrounded by the Spirit with our eyes still closed or looking down, let us be aware of the connection that we all share and who we are as spiritual beings who are having a human experience here together right now, right in this moment. And let us be grateful for that. And let us be grateful for the gifts and the powers that we have. The gifts and the powers that we have as spiritual beings, the gift of love, the gift of wisdom, the gifts of patience. And let us act on those when we leave here today in our lives. Accept what can't be changed and act to change what can be. And what can always change is our peace of mind. It can always grow. As we act to remember to use our spiritual powers to be in the present moment and experience the love, the wisdom, and the power that connects us all. And so it is. Amen.
And so as we gently come out of our meditation or stay in that space. Anandi is going to share with us a beautiful song, I Claim a Blessing. Newcomers, I met Kyle before the service today, he's been watching online. So we're glad to have you join us today. We have kind of a little tradition of giving people a blessing if you're willing to. Kyle, we love you.
He heard the sermon, didn't he?
We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, we behold Christ in you. And thank you for joining us today. And I had already given them a welcome packet, but if you'd like to fill that card out and give it to one of our greeters after the service, we'd like to stay connected. So, okay, now is the time for sharing our love offerings, tithes, and gifts to our ministry. And it's an opportunity really to contribute to the mission and vision of our ministry. So people give online. If you're watching online, we encourage you to give through our website or to mail in a check or to give in person is even better. So let us take a moment now to bless these gifts with the affirmation on our screen together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Freely I give, and freely I receive. Thank you, God. So now we know the routine. We'll give some energy to these gifts. Please join me. We bless these gifts. Say them pressed down, shaken together, heaped up, and running over return to every giver. Multiply many times over. Thank you, God. Amen. I added that. So a few announcements. As I mentioned, that obviously next Sunday is our annual meeting at 11:30. After the service, it will be here at church. Although only official members can vote, everyone is encouraged to come and learn about the work of our ministry. We usually just give out the meeting packets with the agenda and all those supporting materials the day of the meeting, but since we changed the date, we have the packets ready today. So if anybody would like to take a packet home and read it in advance of the meeting, please, Elaine will have those available to give out today. And so that, and also just to remember, membership recommitment forms are due this month. And if you haven't brought one in, please, there's some blank forms over there. Or if you're not a member and you just want to make sure you're in the loop, or you want to be online ready for the next new member class, please fill out one of the membership forms and put it in the basket. And then just the last thing is we're doing collections for the SPCA and for Clara's Closet. There's a specific list out there of things that we're looking to collect, anyway, it's all there. So
I added a couple items that I know that the wildlife department specifically could use.
Oh, good.
Paper towels, kitchen shears, and there's one other thing in there.
Okay.
Oh, those fish net things.
Yeah.
To clean your
So
garden.
good. Yeah, I noticed a lot of the things on the list, like washcloths and things, aren't normally things you'd be thinking. I think we wanted you to bring in dog food or cat food, but it's really other kinds of supplies that would really help the SPCA. So please take a look at that and bring something in, next week or over the next few weeks. So I think we're ready now let's form our closing circle, and we'll sing We're All Friends Here. One other thing I forgot to mention, Tom Delory wants to invite some people to come out to the Peace Park after the service. He's going to create a little video that we can use for some of the grant applications we're going to be.
We're just needing for less than 10 minutes.
Yes, it'll be a short kind of thing,
Stretches,
but
it won't be on the ground.
going to do a little yoga or walk the labyrinth, so if you can join us outside after, please do. Okay, now. We are all friends here. There are no strangers once you walk inside the door. We welcome you to linger in this family of love and hold you in our hearts the way you together. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.